How's it going, guys? Today is March 28th, 2017, 5:10 p.m. Here trying to get a couple of vlogs done. I didn't get a chance to do one yesterday. And then the day before that, I did the live vlog, the actual one where I talked in front of people. My first live performance, if you would call it that, or talk, better said. And then have one to do today. So as soon as I get the memory stick from a friend of mine, I'll be posting that video from the live one I did. And I just want to talk about. I'll do a vlog on the what we call in the military after action review. Um, Basically, talk about the experience of that, and then I'll do a separate vlog for today. So this will be yesterday's vlog for that matter. So I did want to talk about the experience about speaking in front of people, me not necessarily being all that well of a public speaker. I remember the public speaking class I took as a part of my freshman year of college, um, way back when, I can't remember. It was probably while I was dual enrolled in high school, so we were talking, ooh, 2004 or so. So it's been about 13 years since that class, but I remember back then, before I joined the military or had any idea that I was going to be in the military, took a public speaking class as a part of the general education requirements as required to graduate for the degree I was seeking at that time. And I barely skated by with a C in the class because I just didn't like public speaking, was not good, used a bunch of note cards. Even in the military, I wasn't that good. I would always use note cards, read off papers. I always felt more confident doing that. But for these, I want to be myself, not read off note cards, not sound rehearsed, and just give you my true, um, you know, my true real world unrehearsed experience so you guys can best connect with me. I feel like sometimes you can tell when things are rehearsed, and I felt like doing that live performance, although I had a bunch of ideas across my mind, really tried to get focused in the morning prior to the engagement I had, and uh, and really get myself together before the talk. It did take um, some preparation, but I didn't write anything down because I wanted people to connect with me for what I was speaking right then and there. So that's kind of what went into it. Started the day kind of with my routines, my workouts, my daily stuff that I do on a daily basis. Then I listened to a bunch of motivational speaking, and I wanted to do a talk on believing and believe in general was the name of it. And it was a stepping stone for me, a stepping stone. It was my 60th vlog. This will technically be the 60th on there. Well, I'll probably leave a gap. This will be the 61st, but it was a milestone for me. It was 60 days, and it just happened to coincide with each other. I didn't plan it that way. The date was given to me, and I just kept on recording vlogs up until that date, and even after, like this vlog. But as the day progressed, I went there kind of early, and then we kind of coordinated my talk to fall in between some certain things. We were doing like this auctioning type of stuff, and then in between like the auctions, kind of like the segue point, is when I was given my opportunity to speak. So I used that opportunity. Had some microphone troubles initially, which were a little daunting when you're standing in front of people and trying to put out some passionate stuff. And my goal for that day was to really get out what I had to say. I want to talk about a couple things, which I ended up talking about a couple different points, and then I ended up. It was just an overwhelming experience, but my main goal was to connect with people. As I was telling my wife before, I noticed a lot of the good people that I follow that follow me, and the people that I inspire, that I motivate, that I mentor. I really have to have a connection with them. So I was trying to use that, the incident of what happened to that sheriff, and figure out a way to connect to it in a way that I can resemble, that people can relate to. So I used those types of connection points and titled the talk Believe, and was trying to think of a title for a couple weeks actually. And then I finally came up with one, and I talked about things, how it related to my brother, things, and how they related to Stephen, the sheriff, who was injured, for lack of better words, and how they correlated with me in my life, and some beliefs and struggles that I've had to face and encounter at different times. So that's kind of the gist of the talk. I'll save the actual talk and post it as a 60th vlog. And I really do, appreciate you guys watching me go after this dream of mine. A lot of wanting to talk in front of people is doing that, just talking in front of people, and it was very daunting, very different from talking in front of my laptop when there's people up there looking at you and you're trying to make a connection with them. And where I realized I was successful was when I was looking around and the attention and the focus had kind of quieted down around and finally kind of to center point on me. And as I continued to look, I looked over and I seen the mom of the sheriff who got injured. Like I said, for lack of better words, that's just kind of what I want to use. So I saw the mom and she started to tear up, and the father as well started to tear up. And that's kind of where I realized the connection had been made. And what I went there to do was accomplish. I was really excited about that. After the talk concluded, I got a lot of thank yous, a lot of insightful words of wisdom from people, similar situations, and just overwhelming acceptance of what I decided to talk about. And one person I remember, the lady who's helping me train my dogs, came up to me and told me that we were trying to figure out why you're so quiet, because as I told you, my demeanor in everyday life is quiet. I'm not much of a talker. And she said when I do talk, that I'm more of a thinker. And then when I do talk, it's filled with a bunch of thoughts that I've been thinking about. It's not just going off on some ramble or some tangent. So I found that kind of eye-opening and inspiring, that's the way that I connected with her. Those were her thoughts and opinions that came out of her mouth and how they related to me. And I did find that absolutely intriguing. And then along with all the other things that I got, I always look for constructive criticism, which I got from my wife, which the transition was a little abrupt from the Believe talk into the Time talk, because I did want to bring up the mention of time and how it relates to everyday life, and we're all afforded the same hours in a day, regardless if you're successful or not, kind of bringing that, and so they can realize that, believing also coincides with time, and you have to make up your beliefs sometimes on the go, and you have to have faith in those things as quick as today. You can't necessarily wait on forever to go ahead and change some things about you when you can change them today. But it was actually stepping into what I would call my dream, and standing in front of people, even though there wasn't many people there. It was exhilarating. It was exciting. I felt nervousness, but I did feel a calm after a couple minutes of speaking. I don't think I was up there for very long, but I'd say after about minute 2, I did feel a calm come over me, because my talk just started to flow more naturally. Things that started to come out. I got into what I would call like a zone, to where I'd start talking and everything just made perfect sense to me in a way that I think really resonated with the crowd there. And I could always tell by people's reactions, and some people got emotional, and it was quiet. The only thing is that I tried to my best to end it on a positive note, but still the room was very, very quiet after I got done, and I didn't necessarily want to leave them like that. I wanted to leave them more of an upbeat and a cheerful way, but it was a little heavy. And when looking back on it, but I don't regret the way I ended it. And people accept and think that, in the ways that they want to. So I can't control the way people think. I could just control the connection that we had, which I think that I made that day. And I would consider it like I said, it was my first. It was a little shaky in the beginning, but as I got into my stride, I noticed that things started to become calm for me from pretty much minute 2 on in the talk. So that's kind of sums up my experience with my first mentor talk in front of people, a small crowd, but you have to start somewhere. And these are the steps that I have to take in order to get to talking in front of thousands of people, which I eventually hope to do someday. And I think that it will most definitely happen. I'm going to use different opportunities now and try to figure out ways and places there to where I can talk to people who want to listen. And I think that it's going to be a very healthy, very eye-opening thing that I can do, as well as mentoring some individuals along the way, just to kind of make sure that I'm reaching as many people as possible, as often as possible. So again, I appreciate you guys watching, liking, commenting, subscribing. Believe I'm still at 52 subscribers, and I appreciate each and every individual person who's subscribed to my channel. I still appreciate all the comments that I receive, and I'm actually starting to receive some followers on Twitter, and it's kind of making me feel pretty good about myself and the info and the content that I'm putting out there, that people are taking the time to, even though it's hitting a button, they're taking that second to think about me and want to follow me and the material that I'm putting out. So it's the equivalent to me of like getting a subscriber, somebody who wants to follow me, this journey and everything that I'm trying to do. And it really has an overwhelming feeling for me that I gladly accept with open arms. And I appreciate every person who wants a little piece of my wisdom that I have to put out there for the world. So again, I appreciate each and every one of you, and I'll be making a follow-up video here pretty shortly on most likely a different topic. So I'll see you in the next one, and thanks for watching.